birthday, I guess, because I turned 85. I just said
I'd like to call this meeting of the Princeton City Council to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Mabry?
Here.
Councilmember Newman?
Here.
Gomez?
Here.
McCall?
Here.
McCrankey?
Here.
Please stand, join me in the pledge, allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to public comment period. Public comment period is at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end. If you'd like to come up to the podium and state your name and give us a quick discussion over 3 minutes. Now, we know, Victoria, you can talk longer than that because you need to get to another meeting. So, Victoria Jefferson, if you would, please. And I said in a good way.
Hello. Please this way. I'm happy to share some Princeton event and tourism updates for the remainder of July. But before I do that, I want to thank again the City of Princeton, street, electric, police, and fire departments for their participation during the concert series. These concerts simply could not happen without our city departments, from clearing Main Street to the garbage truck coming in at the end of the night and everything in between. Thank you. Have you guys been there when the garbage truck comes in? It's pretty awesome.
I see it every morning.
But just right down the middle of Main Street, it's great. And I believe we had a record-breaking crowd for Mike and Joe. I was a little worried in the beginning of the night because it was so warm, but by the end of the night, like, the crowd doubled in size. It was a really, really wonderful evening. So we also had a surprise Festival 56 performance before the show, and they gave us a sneak peek of Urinetown the musical. You can see Urinetown July 16th through the 21st, and Grease the musical, which runs from July 25th through the 31st, and August 1st through the 4th. Both performances were fantastic. I had goosebumps all over. We have some pretty amazing talent here performing right at the Grace Theater, so be sure to see a show before the season is over. Also, Shakespeare in the Park has 2 more performances of R&J, which is an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, on the 21st and the 24th. And the community band, also at Soldiers and Sailors Park, has 2 concerts left on the 21st and the 28th. And I just wanted to share some exciting promotional features that we have this month. Princeton has been promoted starting last month and then through August on WMBD, which is the Peoria Bloomington Market, through Destination Illinois. And we created a commercial with Brent Jameson, which has been airing. And in addition to that, each month we have a featured interview, a 4-minute interview on the air through their Loving Living Local segment. And I will be doing that next Tuesday. And I had the festival folks carry that one last month, so wish me luck. And the WGN's Midwest is Best is starting on July 25th. They have been doing some commercial promos, just your classic visit Princeton, Illinois. My aunt actually heard it live and freaked out and took a video, so those little things are really exciting. And once again with John Williams on the July 25th, I'll be paying him a visit. So mark your calendars for our next street concert on August 9th, and the Bureau County Fair is right around the corner, August 21st through the 25th. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Victoria. Why don't you just stick around for one moment, Victoria, if I could, before we go on. I would like to recognize when we talk about the Street Concert Committee volunteers, I'd like to recognize these folks that put a lot of time in. They get there early to help set up, they stay late to take things down, and they're actively involved. So this is the Street Concert Committee volunteers. We have our own Teresa Wittenauer, Pete Nelson, Michael Ziering, Janet Henning, Scott Etheridge, Jeff Mangridge, Aaron Christensen, Abby Taylor, Tori Clark, Kelly Morris, Greg Pearson, and Tracy Brenneman. And when you hear a name, a lot of times there's a spouse involved that's not on this list that's just actively involved. So we want to say also thank you to the spouses. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead now and get the approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting, please.
I move that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on July 1st, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. Now we're going to go to the approval of the invoices with City Clerk Janet Henning.
In the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have $98,760.63. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have $136,892.57. In the Department of Public Safety, $208,886.59. And in the Department of Public Property and Utilities, $931,019.94, with a grand total of $1,375,559.73. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed the reviews of all invoices and are now submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments from the council concerning the invoices? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. Now we'll go to the ordinances, please.
Next on the agenda is ordinance O-24-014, an ordinance amending Princeton City Code Title 8, Chapter 3, Article 8-3-2, the water system. This is the first reading.
I move that we advance ordinance O-24-014 to the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If we could, Teresa, if you give us a little bit more information on this.
Sure. As we touched on during budget time, we talked a little bit about the increases in the fees and cost of things related to the water system. So in front of you, you do have, probably hopefully looks familiar, straight from the presentation that you saw during budget. It's a two-sided page. So the one that has the meter costs, the spreadsheet that goes kind of say a spreadsheet across. Tim and John Eggers put this together. It is a really good depiction of percent increase of what things are costing basically now. So you have the meter costs. Obviously those are significantly higher simply because of supply and demand. I mean, everybody's doing, Tim can probably vouch for it, everybody's doing meter programs right now. With COVID, there was a little bit more incentives, there was funds to be able to do these types of programs, so that immediately causes the demand to go up. Down under the standard material costs, this is where it's probably even more eye-opening. We really saw it last budget. As you remember, the chemical costs, we had to do an amendment, significant amendment, probably $200,000 more than what we budgeted. That's how much the increase has been. We did go out for bid on the chemicals this year, hoping maybe we could lock in a lower rate. Didn't quite get what we wanted, so it was easy to determine that's going to be the trend. So down at the bottom, you can see the increases in all of those expenditures as well. So anywhere from 24% increase on meters to some of the material costs being as high as almost 94% increases and stuff. So with that being said, if you flip over that sheet, I put together the little chart there for increasing water just in the chemical costs from 2016 to 2024, and you can see that chart kind of go up and then it levels off a little bit and then it spikes up. One thing I want to note is we did do a water rate study in 2020, and I did circle on your chart there, 2020, that was a recommendation to go up 50 cents at that point in time, and that would keep us kind of steady. That was before that spike we're starting to see in 2023, 2024. So we're already behind, basically. Right now, if you remember during budget time, usually with water, we're doing a transfer from wastewater over to water to fill that gap. Usually about $250,000 to $300,000 gap fillers, what I'll call kind of do a transfer over, and then if I see a trend over 3 to 4 years, that gap getting bigger and bigger and bigger, okay, urgent, we need to get something done here. So we are trying to work on getting another water study done. We are in the hopper of probably, I'm just going to throw out 60 other communities that are doing the same thing right now. So everybody's kind of scurrying to get this resolved. So what in the budget, when we proposed it at budget time, we factored in a 9% increase on the water rates with a 3% annually the years after. And it's probably, as I told you guys, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to get us to fill that gap completely, but it'll get us going in the direction that we need to go without hitting everybody with a 20, as I said in the water rate study, is you take, start doing some of these increases. They recommended a 3% increase back then annually, so you don't get hit with that 20 to 30% increase. Some communities right now are getting hit with a 90% to 100% increase right now, so we don't want to get to that point. So as I told you on Friday in your update, an average bill, so we'll take a household of 3 people, average bill would go up, I think it was about $3 a month. So we'll want to keep it not a huge spike in everybody's bills. So if you go to the ordinance, this is straight, this chart is actually straight out of our ordinance book. This is actually how it looks in there. Under 1B, which is the monthly cost, the only number that's changing here is the $5.45. It used to be $5. So that's your change there. And then down on number 3, which is the bulk water charge, that was $20 per 1,000 gallons. We're going to adjust that to $30 per 1,000 gallons. And then on the next page is actually your commercial industrial charges. Same thing. 1B, the monthly cost, same adjustment, goes up to $5.45, and then same with the bulk. There's really no difference there. So we did want to look a little bit closer at the meter charges, and Tim and John really kind of put their I'd say they looked a little bit deeper into it, and right now we feel, I'm going to speak for you, Tim, unless you want to speak about it.
You're doing a good job.
We feel it's fair right now. We're still below that cost of the meters, but over time we do get some of that money back. We don't want to go in and just start hitting everybody with these expenses. So we're trying to be very conservative when it comes to that, and just try to keep those steady as we can. So any questions? Tim, do you want to add anything?
No, other than the bulk going up to $10, that's just going to hit normally tanker trucks that come in from out of town. They want a large 6,000 gallons of water to fill a pool somewhere. We've been really cheap compared to other communities, and they'll flat out tell us we're really cheap. So that's just going to hit the bulk tankers.
Which is probably why they're coming in here.
Yeah.
And I didn't note the key point to this. We did have it. The last increase was adopted in 2011, implemented through 2011, 2012 in a 2-step stage. So it's been, we were thinking it was close to 15 years. So about that with that.
And what's the reason that they, as far as the chemical costs go, I mean, that's a huge spike in 1 year. Right. I mean, I know in my business, we sell different types of chemicals. We've seen about a 6 or 8% increase, but this is much larger, right? So what is their reason?
They're blaming it on supply. Supply and demand.
It's a transportation cost.
Yeah, transportation costs are really high too.
Yeah, freight charges are high.
Yeah, fuel charge. They used to lock those in for us. Now, you've probably seen it. Anything that hits $4 a gallon, there's X amount on top, and then it gets $4.25, $4.50 all the way up, and so. It's just a thing that they floated on us, and we did lock in fuel prices with them that they can't exceed. Or if it is $5, then that's on their time. We just gotta. So that helped them in the bidding, but every avenue they could take, they threw a surcharge on somewhere to compensate for. Yeah.
So maybe you said this. Do you forecast this to continue to go up, or are you saying
Well, we're going to watch close, but what we did want to factor, and I haven't gotten to that actually, glad you reminded me. Towards the end there, it does touch, where is that at? Under be it further ordained, on the last page of the ordinance. One more page. There you go. This is where you factor in that 3% increase each year after. We did cap it at a 3-year. That way we know to go back and re-examine this again. We don't want to just carry a 3%. Maybe costs go down. We think it's fair to re-examine it at that point in time. What if they go up? So you don't want to. We want to leave it. That 3-year mark is usually a good time to start reevaluating some of this stuff again. So. Also, Tim, I don't want to put you on the spot, but another cost increase that we're seeing is the cost of different testing and all that stuff that you guys are being required to do that we don't.
EPA mandates that keep coming out are just.
And they're expensive.
They're hitting us hard, and there's just not as much grant money available to, or they're not offering it to cover some of this testing, extra testing they're requiring. The lead line thing is going to be a big one coming up, so just a little something to put on the radar that. This 3-year will probably hit that time when they're going to mandate what we're going to do with lead lines.
So we got to keep that in mind. And then with the water rates going up, usually it goes in tandem with the sewer rates going up. But what we found in the study was that the wastewater rates were fairly healthy, so we don't want to be unfair about that. So we're just really focused on the water right now. Any questions?
We're good. So the council, obviously, we're going to be voting tonight on an increase and then a 3-year increase of 3% a year for the next 3 years, and then we come back and revisit it as a council. So you get a chance to look at it again.
I think revisiting is definitely a good thing, rather than waiting a decade, over a decade to be able to do that, because I would say even with us, we're looking at increases as well, because you just can't keep up with the cost of things. Surprisingly, some of the things go up that high. And obviously water is one of those resources that nobody can live without. That's the medications. So.
And we're fortunate to have a plentiful water supply. So we're blessed for that. I mean that in all sincerity. We got a good aquifer that we're drawing our water from, and it's quality water.
Best tasting water.
Definitely.
I would say that.
That's one of the things I've said when we're, like Ali was coming in here, I said we do have some things that within the infrastructure, the water plant is one. Because you go anywhere else and they are looking for resources as far as water goes. You know, and we talked about in Michigan years ago. So.
Okay, any other questions from the council? We have a motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye, thank you.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-24-016, authorizing the sale of real estate.
I move that we approve Resolution R-24-016.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and also Teresa just give a little elaboration on that as well, please.
Okay, this piece of property is very hard to explain. So, but if everybody knows where the brush pit is at here in town, that is the main gist of the piece of property that we're looking at, or we had been looking at, and you approved to release with the appraisal coming in at $90,000. Yes, that's correct. So we did put that out for bid. Basically, what that will have to do is move the brush pit up to the front towards Euclid Street, and then release that property. So after getting bids in, we did get one bid, and it came in at $80,000, which is definitely at that 80%. It was a very nice bid, very fair bid, and it went to Elm City, the axe throwing company there. So that will give them the opportunity to, one, make that much easier for them to do their business there, their operations, but also clean up that wet water hole that we have back there right now. And we will be able to move our brush pit to an area that's much easier for everybody to use. That gives them the opportunity to expand, grow more jobs, it's an opportunity for them for some economic development. So it ended up, this worked out fantastic for everybody involved, and we're happy that they're able to use this land. So you have in there the resolution for the amount. It's got obviously the description of the land going to Elm City, and at the $80,000.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the council? Just so you know, I did stop into the facility that they are currently renting from the city that they will be purchasing. I talked with Steve Keitzer. He's one of the partners along with Mike Bowman. And he wanted to thank the council for their foresight in working with them on the possible purchase of this. They ended up being the purchaser, but we opened it up to other people if they were interested. He said they are going to make improvements to the building, and they will be adding jobs. The other thing was, at an $80,000 sale price, I talked with our Bureau County tax treasurer and assessor, and that'll go into tax rolls then at about $2,300, which is a win-win for the different taxing bodies, the local schools and park district and library, things like that. So we do have a win-win going on tonight, so that's a good thing. So and we had these folks come one night and explain off what they do here. So with that said, if there's no other questions or comments, please call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. Now we're on to the city manager report, please.
Well, I didn't have anything formal there, but I just want to touch on a couple of things, just mainly some project updates, which will probably be repeat for you guys up here on the council. But the depot parking lot, if you have not been up to see it, it's taking shape. It's neat to watch every day the transformation. Now you can see the full curving. I believe most of the curving is up there, so you can really see the shape of what that parking lot is going to be. There's been a couple of little projects that we've added in or had addressed while they're there, but we're still, as I told you guys, much under budget from what we had projected. So that's great. The crews are also working, our crews are working on the Pleasant Marquette parking lot. They're behind Optimal Health and Schooners. And you'll see the new islands that are put in the parking lot, totally changing the looks of that parking lot. We're going to add some decorative lights and some landscaping to that as well. So definitely we'll dress up that parking lot too. We learned that Aaron has a knack for relaying brick, which looks fantastic along the curbing. And then from that point, once the depot lot is done, we will transition over to Marion Street for the sanitary sewer replacement. And then from there to Main Street, and then from there to Main and Peru intersection. So it's just going to be kind of advanced. I think it's pretty much staying in the area here. The Porter Brothers has Marion, but...
Is Main and Peru going to be after Homestead weekend?
Yes.
Oh, good.
No, when they first said this is our timeline, and it was that week, that first week of September, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not going to work. So luckily we have some of our leaders at Advanced Asphalt and Noe, who works with Chamlin. They understand what happens here in Princeton, and they know what that weekend entails. So we'll work around that. And all recycling totes should be out that have been reserved. We did go through our order pretty quickly, so that should be. And this is a recycling week, so just a reminder.
Anything else, Teresa?
No.
Okay, very good. And I think that when we think about the parking lot up there at the train depot, we think about how there was a committee that got together, I don't know, Teresa, been 4 years ago, maybe, and there's a list of, before I was here, a list of volunteers that came together and did the brainstorming as to what they envisioned that to look like. So when we get closer to completing that, we'll just have a little ceremony up there. I think it's good to have our victory, so to speak, in a positive way, and we'll invite those folks to come up there and just have a little celebration. That's a real asset, that parking lot. And as we know that about, I don't think half, but close to a third of the cars there are from Iowa, people that want to get on Amtrak, and they have two choices. They get on Amtrak at Princeton, or they get on at Galesburg, and they choose to come to Princeton for a lot of reasons. And you talk to the people from Iowa, it's free parking, it's close, and of course if they get on the train going to Chicago and Princeton, it's a little less of an Amtrak fare, so it's a win-win for them as well. So we're excited about that. With that all said, we're going to go now to the mayor's report, and tonight what I thought we would do is I know that in the process of a small community, we have challenges in a community, and I know that one of the things is we have an issue the past couple of years with unhoused people. And I know that different organizations, the churches have worked with this, and Aruka has worked with this, and we're concerned about our unhoused folks, and we want to make sure that they have the proper housing necessary, but also we want to make sure that we have people that they're taking advantage of buildings and residences that they should not be in those buildings and residences. We need to make sure that we use the full extent of the law and with the cooperation of the owner of those properties to vacate those folks. So I've asked Chief Tom Kammer to give an overview of what's going on with the unhoused in the Princeton area. So Tom, if you would please.
Sure.
In recent weeks, there's been a lot of discussion about the number of unhoused persons in our community. Much of the conversation centers around a house located on North Main Street, where many of the unhoused persons have taken up residence. Our department has conducted operations there with the assistance of other agencies to move the unauthorized residents out of that location. We continue to focus attention on that residence, both directly and indirectly, in an effort to have that house vacated. There are several legal hurdles that make this challenging. However, we are utilizing every tool available to us to rectify that situation. In the past, many of the offenses, such as possession of a controlled substance or trespassing, would result in an arrest and incarceration. With the passing of the Safety Act and the Pretrial Fairness Act, we are no longer have the option of incarceration. An arrest now is handled with a citation and the person is released. Now, as an update to that part of this, we did a search warrant there this morning. We recovered drugs and some stolen property, which we expected to recover there. And there were 8 people in the house when we went in there, and evidence of about 4 or 5 more perhaps that lived there. None of them are allowed back on the property, and we should be getting that boarded up here pretty soon. Trident, the drug task force, is handling that aspect of that. I also want to clarify some inaccurate information that's been circulating on social media recently. Contrary to what you read on Facebook, the unhoused people we are dealing with are from here in Princeton. Most were born here, went to school here, and have family here. Due to their addiction and mental health issues, they have become alienated from their families and therefore have nowhere to live. We talk with many of them on daily, offering to get them help, trying to connect them with services, or just checking on their well-being. Most of them refuse to accept our help. For those that do, we refer them to the living room located at Aruka. There, several have received counseling services, employment assistance, and housing assistance. Having the living room in our community reduces the amount of police contact we have with many of these people and helps many of them find a place to live. During the winter, Aruka worked with a local hotel and was able to provide safe housing to some of our local homeless population. This, in addition to pads in Ottawa and Peru, provided housing throughout the winter. Between the end of March and the beginning of May, the shelters closed to reduce costs. That means the beginning of October. That means all the people who are housed throughout the winter must find alternative housing arrangements throughout the spring, summer, and fall. There are currently no year-round shelters in the Illinois Valley area. PADS has between 100 and 110 beds, and Aruka housed approximately 30 people throughout the winter, to include a mother with 4 kids and a few other families with children. Several of us in the community who have a stake in this issue are meeting to discuss options for this population. Since there are no local shelters and the PAD shelters are often full, there are very few options. We will continue to work to help those who are willing and able to find employment and housing, but we can't force those who aren't able to participate in our efforts. This is not a new issue in our community. It's been here for the 6 years I've been here and long before. Now, with so many of them visible on Main Street, it has garnered more attention. We are working to reduce the amount of unhoused people in our community, but we can't do it alone. I encourage you to contact me or your clergy if you have any ideas that you may have to help with this issue.
Tom, if I could, I know you've spoken on more than one occasion to the Princeton Ministerial Association. They've been very receptive to listening to the challenge and trying to come up with some ideas as well.
Yes.
Before Tom gets down to the podium, any of the council members have any questions about what we're wrestling with here in Princeton? Questions, comments, Jerry?
I talked to Tom before the meeting, so I got all the photos, which was great.
So it's nothing unusual or in a sense of unique for a small community. I know you have the opportunity maybe to be addressing this later in the week. Is that right?
Yes. We meet and talk about this very regularly in the community, whether it's with the clergy, with some of the social, service providers like Tri-County or BEST, Aruka, OSF, all of them have a stake in this. They'll all be present at this meeting, as I know you will be too. This is a daily thing for me, trying to address this even through the weekends. I get calls about this stuff, and we try our best, to find housing for folks or to connect them with some resources, but not everybody is willing to accept that.
It's a challenge. It's an uphill challenge. Tom, this morning, wrapping things up, this morning you had the cooperation of a number of law enforcement agencies. Could we just address that, who participated? Because we want to thank them for their assistance.
Sure.
Please.
So we are one of 10 members of the Trident Drug Enforcement Task Force. So I can get them all here. It's us, Bureau County, Putnam County, LaSalle County, Peru, Ottawa, LaSalle, Oglesby, Mendota, and there's one other in there. But there are 10 agencies that participate in Trident. And this morning we had agents from all of those departments here helping out with this. And then the Bureau County Sheriff also had a few extra folks come out, and then I had my midnight shift guys stay on for a few more hours so that we had enough manpower there. Last time we did a search warrant there, people were just jumping out the windows and throwing stuff all over the place, and we ended up recovering a lot of the drugs on the roof of the house and different places. We made sure we had enough people there today to safely address that.
Very good. Any questions from the council?
I know that dealing with substance and mental abuse, it's a big challenge, and it's really difficult. And I praise the law enforcement here and all the work that they're trying to do. A lot of it is really difficult because something the chief said, they don't want to do anything to help themselves. They're not going to do it. And so they have to get them to understand and comprehend, to be able to go ahead and trust them, to be able to send them to recovery, to help them out with homes, that there is someone here that's trying to help them. They don't just want to put them in jail. And it's very difficult for someone who's been out there in the streets to be able to go ahead and understand that. So thank you, Chief.
Very much. Tom, thank you very much for addressing this tonight. We appreciate it. And we do want to say thank you to all those law enforcement agencies this morning that participated in this night of action that was taken. We appreciate their efforts as well, working together as a team. Thank you. That I don't have any positively Princeton tonight, and I think that there's so many positive things that happen in Princeton, and we really appreciate, like, for example, Victoria Youngson, our tourism director, giving us a quick update before she had to leave. A lot of good things happening in the community. Is there anything, our chamber director, any thoughts, any comments? No?
Thank you for everybody that came to the 4th of July. It was a great event.
It was a great event. Great weather, great turnout. And here again, the Park District is very cooperative and working together with the City of Princeton. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and go. Is there any old business?
I'd like to address this sign ordinance again. I know, Mayor, you and I talked this morning, but I know that's some general consensus. We had all said, we weren't against having, I know we have one business coming forward right now that is asking for that, but I think there will be more, and I think it's something we should act on quicker than rather just let it sit right now. I know that the Planning Commission has voted that they don't want to change anything after it came back to them, so I just kind of want to get the conversation started on what everybody else thinks. I don't know what the general consensus was last time we were here about it. Just kind of leave that open for everybody.
Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, I agree with that. I'd like to at least visit it again. As it sits, we're not making any changes, right? So just leaving it
Pete, it's allowed now, but it's just in certain zoning areas. And the person that wanted the sign, electronic sign, is in an area that does not allow that. There's zoning.
That's correct.
That was the whole consensus there. So, and of course, going back, the neighbors were concerned about changing that zoning for that. So, Pete, could a person, could she reapply? And I'm just asking, with a variance specifically for that location in that zoning, and that
no,
it does not work. Okay, very good. Well, and we have to respect those neighbors because they're the ones living over there when changing that zoning.
Yeah,
so.
No, and I understand that too. I had two people hit me up at Walmart one day that agreed with allowing the ordinance. That kind of what brought it back to my mind on it. So, again, I'm just bringing it up because we had someone come forward to it, and I think if we refuse to kind of allow progress in certain areas, I think it could hurt businesses in some areas too. You know, when we're up against the giants, and we've got small business here, that's what makes Princeton unique. And I think we've got to allow them to do business the same as we do everybody else too. So that's kind of what my thought process is on it.
Well, it's a tough one.
I would say the same thing. And as we all know, progress never stops for anyone. And if you don't allow it, eventually it will bite back. So it is something to consider. Because I do believe something Mike said that if you're not going to stop it, there's going to be different businesses that come in. And like I said last time, I used to live on right by the Blue Station up in Chicago. Train passed every day. And eventually, that's something you get used to. Where you can sleep, you can do everything else, just with the lighting. We talked about smaller signs, maybe not as many rooms, a certain time frame. But that part at least is controlled if you allow it, which is something we said from the last meeting.
Yeah, so as to not really, you know, abuse that in the nighttime hours. It's where you would be most worried about that for those residents.
And most of the time, by before 9 o'clock, those businesses are closed.
Yeah.
So.
I think, again, we're going to discuss the homework assignment here in just a moment about the alley. If council members want to give it some thought, do a little more homework assignments. You know, I enjoyed my field trips. Saturday we went out to Iowa City, and I saw it was unbelievable to see a mall that actually is still going and vibrant out in Iowa City. I was very surprised, but just north of Iowa City, in a town called North Liberty, it's a community that really is only like, say, 25 years old. It's kind of like an extension of Iowa City, and so everything's new, but the streetscape was very interesting to watch, and then all their signage was real low. Now, they had electronic signs. The local Casey store had their electronic sign for changing the price of gas, things like that, but all the signage was down low. It's very intriguing to see that whole concept that you went about a 2-mile main drag, so to speak, and to see that. And I would encourage anybody to get a chance to see North Liberty, Iowa, and see how they work with signage. And again, everything's low. It's just down in more than, say, 8 feet tall, and change the whole concept of what it looks like. We go from the railroad tracks out to the interstate, and we got a potpourri of signs and billboards and different heights, and it's a clutter of, I call it eyesight litter. It just kind of beats you up, you know what I'm saying? It'd be nice to see if we can work on getting that to the same level as a community like North Liberty, Iowa. So you get a chance to drive 2 hours out to check out what they're doing in Iowa. Mike, can we just put that on hold then? Was it idea we'll discuss?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up like everybody again.
I think
said, yep, you know, so it just doesn't sit there dead for a number of months or whatever, so that we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we have the homework assignment to go check out the alley, and I'd like to go around, and let's go ahead, if we could, we'll start down there with Mike McCall, discuss that alley that you want to look at.
Honestly, I can't tell where the alley's at. It's all grass. So I didn't drive it because I thought it was somebody's yard.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what it looks like to me. I don't know what everybody else thought, but I pulled in and backed out both sides because that's what it looked like to me. I didn't know where I really wanted to drive, and I was afraid I'd got so much property, so I didn't cross that.
It looked like 2 driveways, one on either side, and then there was grass across the back, as if there was, I'm assuming there was never an official alley there. I don't know, because it looks like the people have kind of overtaken that 18 feet. And I'm not sure that there's a lot of people that want to change that. I didn't hear much at the last meeting that we need to do something. I mean, our garbage trucks aren't using that area. We have some utilities buried under there. But other than that, it's very strange. It's a very strange setup.
Sure. And Jerry, you notice, of course, on the north side of that alley, the people are using that alley pretty actively for their garages, to get to their garages.
Yeah.
And then we go to the very south side of the alley, and we got a gentleman, unfortunately, that's encroached onto the alley. Did you notice all that?
Or the shed or something.
Yeah, and some signage and some yard art and some other things. Yeah, he's over encroached, okay. How about you, Hector?
Well, I went back there, and something like Gary said, is like, go back there, it's okay. There's no alley, but I did go around. Since it was here, it's okay, this is an alley. I did go around it with no problem until I looked over to the right, to the left of it. It's like, okay, that's the driveway. And so, okay, there's the exit. And so I turned, and I was looking still over there to make sure that I wasn't in there. And I made the turn, but the people that had there had like little reflectors and stuff in there, so they were low to the ground, which you couldn't see. So I ended up hitting one of them. But there is a lot of brush. If you wanted to keep it that way, you would obviously have to clean it, but you can get around it easily. Like even somebody that we talked, you can back up in there, just back right into it, back up to the garage, and come back the same way. And there's no need to go all the way around, but you can go to it.
Marty?
On the south side, you're right. It looks like a regular drive, but then as you go around, I drove right by, and it feels like you're driving into their property. I think the radio was on, and then, there was something in the garage there, and I was on my 10 speed, so I wasn't driving my car, but it's definitely set up differently for sure. And that side is all paved nicely or whatever, but the other part is grass, and so there's definitely two parts to that. And then there's actually a way to get to the roof. You keep going straight, so you're finishing the U shape. So there is a way to get out the roof. But if we don't, I think you said that there was no fire that we need to get back there because the hydrants are in the area. So do we need to get a fire truck back there? We wouldn't. Could that, it was funny. We did have two residents that came one last meeting. One said we needed to take care of it. The other gentleman said
no, we don't.
Said we're fine. And so I was a little confused. Where were we? And it was so it was a great assignment to go over there and see where were we. And frankly, I think we're fine. So I didn't see any problems there. But especially since we're not needing any fire damage. The bug truck came around. Wasn't it 2 days ago or a day ago? So I actually asked him, hey, do you get over to Randolph Street? Or are you going to get over there to see if you could get back there and spray? I don't know if he ever did.
I didn't see him.
Huh?
I didn't see him, so I don't know.
So I don't know if he was able to get back. I think he could.
I've seen them before. They do, for the mosquito spray,
Yeah.
I've seen them. They come in from the south side, where it's paved, and they go all the way around and come back out. I've seen them twice before. And I also have Taylor trees. They go in the back. I tell them all the time, go around the back and spray my trees. You don't have to drag 200 feet of hose across the property to spray the trees.
Yeah. So,
And they do it all the time. They go around. And by the way, somebody went there. I don't know who it was recently back there. And I waited for them to come out of the alley. And they made a right-hand turn, went through a private property, went out into Peru. I don't know who that person is.
I don't know if that's what that is, but there's, I guess, a driveway, private property that
That's private property, and they put gravel down for them to go in and out. And they do use the alley. But that's private property.
Okay, so a couple things then. A little bit of brush that's say hanging over let's say the section of alley that's mostly grass right now, and there's some brush hanging over. It'd be very cost effective for the street department just go in and trim that brush up so it's more accessible if the lady is concerned about reaching her garage or her shed, I'm sorry, with the idea she may put a garage in, she would still have access. And then the other issue, the gentleman that on the far south side that is encroached out onto the alley, do we want to allow that to be left there and still be able to get around it? With the understanding, you have to understand there's going to be people going around that what looks like his driveway, which is really the alley that he's improved. Do we leave that stuff there? Now, Pete, that survey we were looking at, that was from about 2.5 years ago, right? That was commissioned? 2 years ago, yeah. So obviously, one more time, that was brought up. This was brought up a couple years ago then. And same issue, right? The exact same thing we're talking about right now tonight. Okay. And my thinking is we have this street department go in and clean up that brush that's hanging over to make that alley a little bit more accessible on the backside. Don't improve the alley. Leave the grass there. So if one of the neighbors wants to get back there, or residents, they can get back there to the very back, going across the. There's got to be some kind of gravel base there under that grass. It just hasn't been used. So we don't improve the gravel base. We just tidy up the trees that are hanging over to make it less of a deterrent to drive back there with the vehicle. And then the question would be is, do we allow the neighbor that's encroached over the alley to leave their things there, or do we request that that thing be moved back?
Well, what if we chose something in between, and maybe Michael Zering could go over there with a document that states we're well aware that some of your property is encroached on the alley, and if we ever have a need to gain access to that entire alley, you will be required to remove it. I mean, versus just removing it, this might be a little kinder, gentler way to get his attention.
Absolutely. But did they pay that themselves? We didn't pay that.
Yes. Yes. Bill Sissel paid that alley.
That's quite a.
He paid for it. He paid it, and then in the back, the remainder of it going to the back. He also puts a gravel on there. In the back, he puts gravel, and he did his property and my property, and then he goes back there and he cuts it all the time, and he sprays for weeds and that coming out. And the lady that was here before, her property in the back over there, she cuts it too. She cuts it. The grass is maintained in the alley itself. It doesn't grow tall. It doesn't grow 8-10 inches tall. It doesn't grow. But the only thing is the bushes. That is the only thing there, is the bushes hanging over. Other than that, it's maintained by the people there.
Jerry, I like your idea. I think that's a nice compromise. It's a friendly way of us saying we're concerned, but yet, so if he does.
But he needs to make it look official. I mean, this is we're willing to look the other way until such a time that we need access. You're going to be required to move it. We're going to give you like 30 days to do it or something.
Not only that, it offers documentation. You actually had something there, so that you can't say, well, we were never told. We have national documentation. You just go ahead and file. So if the time comes, you can pull it up and told. Because if say something happens, he moves away, family comes over. Well, they don't know. And so you would have to go ahead and readdress that, especially if they were trying to sell the property to someone else and thinking that was part of their land.
He's done a nice job. It's over onto the city's property.
Yeah.
I like that idea, Jerry. We'll call it consensus in the council, and then we'll have the street department clean up that brush that's hanging over. But we're not going to improve the alley anymore with additional gravel and things like that. We good with that?
I am.
Okay, very good.
Instead of an alley, why not just call it an easement that has to remain clear?
Well, it's already 18 foot wide and it's dead.
Yeah, it's there. Call it an easement. I have a property in the south side of Chicago. I have 10-foot easement in the back, but they had to maintain it with nothing on it.
I like the idea. We'll call it an alley. We'll send that letter out. I appreciate the council's input. Jerry, I appreciate your thoughts on that whole thing. Okay, very good. Any other old business? Okay, any new business? Any additional public comment from anyone?
Mayor, I just briefly, just to let you know that we do have 2 candidates for the Habitat. Really excited. Both are great candidates. We should have a candidate picked in the next 3 weeks. By the 30th of July, we're supposed to meet again. So I'm real excited about that. So
Can you speak up, Marty? I can't even hear what you're saying.
Well, we have 2 candidates for the Habitat of Humanity project. real happy about that, real excited, and we're going to know who that individual is in about 3 weeks. Okay? So just want to briefly let the council know that we've been meeting and we have 2 qualified people that applied.
That's great. Very good. Thank you, Marty. And as we wrap this up tonight, I was thinking as an additional comment, the tremendous quality of living we have in Princeton includes, as we know, Festival 56. I went to see one of their plays. It was the Sea Monster play. It was fantastic. And so we want to make sure as council we support this. I know, Marty, you've got actually not only supporting your wife as the CEO of that organization, so to speak. She's in charge of that, so to speak. And then you are also housing some actors, a couple of actors that are on stage.
Yeah, we have 2. One is the overall executive production, and then we have another individual that comes in and she does the camp. And so, but we've had, for 8-day stays, we've had others as well. So we just try to, that was the most difficult thing, was to get the housing for the people. And I really want to thank, anybody that involved in that. We placed 54 people into housing this year. It was amazing that we could find all of those houses. So it was a nice effort. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Very good. Okay.
I just want to add to that. If you did make it to the street concert, you heard the lady sing the Grease song. Was that not?
Emily.
I mean, if you get a chance to see that, oh my God, she was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Blown away. So if you get a chance to see the Grease, yeah, I highly recommend.
Thank you, Teresa. That's good stuff. Okay, there we go. So we're going to encourage the council and their families to go to see a Festival 56 production before they wrap the season up. That said, Jerry, if you would, please.
Yes. Move that we adjourn our regular meeting this evening and reconvene for our next council meeting on Monday, August 5th, 2024, at 6 o'clock at City Hall.
Second.
Motion is second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Feel free to stick around and talk to your council people. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Did you want to add anything?
Awesome.